All right, everyone, welcome to December 15th MVP Office Hours. I'm Jackie Travieso. Also joining me today is Dale Ziegler as my co-host. And we usually start off our meetings with just a quick list of events that are going on that you might want to add to your calendar, or at least check out and find out what all of the activity and hype is about. So we've got a link here for all of the events hosted by Salesforce, and then something I have just recently added, if you're new to this call, is the customer success event calendar. There's all kinds of things listed here, webinars and different activities that you can sign up and attend at no cost. So you might find some good stuff there. And then I've got listed here all of the upcoming Dreaming events. Those are all community-led events. And Salesforce is now inventorying and promoting those in this bit.ly that I have listed here. But the next one up is Tahoe Dreaming in January. Hopefully we'll see you there. I will be there this year. I just registered, so it's my first time going. And we've got some international Dreaming events listed here. So we've got London's Calling, and then followed by Snowforce and Punta Gorda, that's in Florida, Punta Dreama in Uruguay, and then Southeast Dreaming in Atlanta. And then you've got a list of events over here on the right-hand side that start in April and go through August. You'll notice some of these do not have actual days yet, but we just know that they're held in a certain month. So make sure that if you're interested in these, that you check out this bit.ly listed, and you can actually get to each of the landing pages or websites for each of these events, learn more about them, and then register.
And I'm just going to throw in a cheap plug for Midwest Dreaming since I'm on the organizational team. It's the best. We just are. Don't have to ask questions why. It just is. Anyway, come join us in July.
It is a good one. You guys always have good keynote speakers as well. So yes, absolutely. So if you're new to MVP Office Hours, we hold this call on the first and third Friday of the month. I have a registration link here, so in the future, if you just want to bookmark this, you can always pop in and register for each of the calls. This is an open Q&A discussion. We have a panel of MVPs who join us, and this call is not restricted just to MVPs as far as answering questions. If you happen to know the answer or have some guidance or recommendation, please, everybody is welcome to chime in and share their experiences. That's what this is all about. So we generally talk about approaches, pointers, resources, some recommendations. If you've got a question that is a little more detailed, maybe you need some code reviewed or automation reviewed, maybe through Process Builder or Workflow, we might want to point those to answers and have you post screenshots and list your full business case and scenario there and what your challenge is, so that the entire global community all across the world can chime in and give you the guidance that you're looking for. This group can certainly chime in as well, but sometimes that's a better use because we can get screenshots. And as I mentioned, I am recording this this call today. We'll post it both on community and Twitter. The lines seem to be pretty quiet today, but if you've got any background noise going on, make sure that you mute yourself. Please, everybody, feel free to ask questions. You can raise your hand in the chat, and we'll call on you. If there is dead air, please just feel free to go ahead and ask away. Be sure to announce yourself so that we know who's speaking, so we can identify voices with names. And then again, please, everyone, just share your experiences because that's what this is all about. And before we get started, we have one quick announcement. Our new website, we've just added APAC as an MVP Office Hours group. They're still getting themselves organized, but they are officially on the docket. So you will see more coming about them as far as their reoccurring date and time and whatever their dial-in URL is for their meeting. And then we're still working on Espanol, nonprofit, and student. So those groups are coming. Hopefully in January we'll see some progress there. All right, well with that, let's go ahead and kick it off. Anybody got a question? And please don't be shy. I see today we are joined by Steve Mullis. So if you have questions about reporting, he is your man. Open up your orgs and start asking those questions. Can I get a confirmation that y'all can still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Marty and Haley both have their hands raised.
Fantastic. Go ahead and, Marty, go ahead and ask your question. Marty, we're not hearing you if you've got yourself on mute.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, great,
Okay.
thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm in the midst of implementing a service cloud in Lightning for someone, having picked up a project that someone else had started. And a couple of questions. So I'm fairly new to Lightning, played around with it a bit, but this is the first full implementation. When I'm on a Lightning, I want to be sure I have the terminology right, but so I've got a service console, and then I've got a case page, and then I have a case page layout. So I have a Lightning record for the case, then I have a page layout. When I'm clicking on the case in Classic, when I say I want to edit the page, it takes me directly to the page layout in Setup, but in Lightning, it seems to take me to the record page, and then I have to go back into Setup and go into the page layout, if that makes sense. And is there a shorter way to get, if I just want to change, for example, I want to change the way that the fields are being displayed on the page, I know I need to go to the page layout. Is there a faster way to get there? Does that make sense?
That is a really good question, and I think I was doing something similar to that yesterday, and I think I did the same exact path you just described. Haven't had a chance to see if there is a quicker, faster way. Any of our other Lightning experienced users have a recommendation?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
I believe that's the way that I did it as well. I was playing around yesterday for the first time. I'll make a note. If I find a faster way, I will let you know. But I think my click path was exactly what you described.
Okay.
If anybody has any other recommendations, please just go ahead and speak up. Okay, let's table that and let's go on to Julie Hopkins. Julie, you might need to take yourself off of mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can, yes.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
I had a question about the 18-digit ID codes. I was curious if there was a way that's more efficient to get those out of the system versus what I've been doing is taking them from the data loader.
Yes, there is. You can do this on any object. There's a function called case safe ID. So all you have to do is create a custom formula field, and literally all you type in is CASE ID, open parenthesis, ID, close parenthesis.
Dale, would you do us a big favor and drop that into the chat?
Absolutely.
That way everyone can get it, and I'll drop it in our slides right here.
Yes. So what that does is every record has a unique ID to it, but if you're dealing with reports or you're looking at a URL to get a detail ID, you're only going to get the 15, and it's case sensitive. The case safe ID function actually exposes the full 18. It is truly unique. It is case insensitive, And because it's a field, you can drop it on a page layout, you can reference it in a report, you can do whatever you need to do with it on the UI side of things without having to go external, like through Data Loader or Workbench or a Dev Console or anything like that. And it is portable across all objects because all it's doing is looking for the ID of that record, and it will automatically change it from 15 to 18.
Great, thank you.
It is one of my most favoritist things ever.
Yeah, I'm about to put that on every single object.
Yes.
Great, thank you for the question. Haley, you're up.
Yeah, okay, so one of the things that I'm really struggling with, and I should say I'm extremely new to Lightning and to Salesforce in general. We're actually in the middle of an implementation. I had never touched the system, had never even seen it before like July, so I apologize if this is like a rank noob question. I struggle a lot with the relationship between the global publisher layout and the buttons on various records and how to control those buttons. So, like when I go into the page layouts and I look at the available buttons, they don't seem to have any relationship to what's actually appearing on the record. And I struggle with how to control that. And even at the global publisher layout level, if I look at what's in my layout, there's like 5 or 6 buttons there, but on that shortcut, the create thing on my main page, I only have 2 things. So I'm confused. There's obviously something controlling this that I'm just missing. Is that about clear as mud?
Yes. First of all, don't apologize for asking your what you were considering an elementary question, because it is not. And congratulations for joining the world of Salesforce. Dale, go ahead. I think I interrupted you.
I was just going to say, some of us have been dealing with Lightning since day one, and we struggle with that very same thing. So it has absolutely nothing to do with being new. It's a thing to struggle with. Okay, so you're talking about the global publisher layout, not necessarily a detail page?
Well, I guess both, because I thought I understood that there was a relationship in the sense of there's a default, which I think is defined by the global publisher layout, which also feeds that shortcut on the main page. And then there's controlling them at the page layout as well.
So what's kind of tricky about the, especially with Lightning, but when you're looking at a regular page layout, is the buttons that you see on there actually only control Classic. The buttons that you drop on the page layout there are only going to be rendered in Classic. I believe you have to actually go to the Lightning record page to then say, these are the buttons I want to show when in Lightning on a detail record. Yeah.
Well, that's sneaky.
Yeah, it's very, very, very sneaky. Yes. See if I can.
So is that something you would do in the Lightning App Builder when you're doing the record page?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Upward inflection indicating question mark. So I'm playing around in a dev org right now.
I'm making a test in my org right now.
Well,
I'll give you a for instance. I use a couple of different record types of leads for the different programs that we have, which allows me to tailor their path. Although they all wind up, I only have one main contact record type for the clients. But somehow or another, I cannot control these buttons they look perfectly fine on the lead record in another program, but in my newest program that I'm trying to tailor, I somehow or another lost my convert button, and I don't know how I did it, and I can't figure out how to control the buttons that are there. So I'm guessing maybe that's the Lightning page layout upward inflection.
I think what the young lady may be speaking about is at the top of the page layout, there are 2 sections.
Whoever is speaking, you need to speak up or turn up your mic or something. We barely hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is Robert. what I think the young lady may be speaking about is there's two sections at the top of the page layout. One is for Salesforce Mobile and Lightning Actions. The Lightning
Yes.
Actions part is the portion that controls the buttons that appear on the Lightning Experience page. Does
But
that
they
make
also,
sense?
yeah, but they also control the mobile as well, which,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
yeah. Okay, so in theory, then they should be the same. Whatever's showing on your Lightning page should be the same thing that you get for your buttons and mobile, right?
I don't actually know the answer to the mobile portion of that,
Yeah.
but sometimes you have to create a quick action which is local to that page and add them to the page layout in the section Salesforce Mobile and Lightning Experience Actions.
Ah.
So you might not have email in the Salesforce Mobile and Lightning Experience Actions on that page layout. Therefore, you're not seeing it.
Oh, I think I see what you're getting at.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so there's actually really an interplay then between this section of the page layout, your quick actions that are available, and the Lightning app page.
Yes, ma'am.
My goodness. Okay. I'm closing in. I feel like I'm circling a drain.
I got very confused by that when we went to Lightning because you see the buttons right below that. And if you don't click on the little section, it doesn't show you that. You have to click on it to change it.
Yeah, it took me a long time to realize that too, that they all come with like a default.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've even tried like, okay, let me just drag everything out of here and see what changes on the record. And again, I don't. The other thing that confuses me is in the palette for that section, there are tons of duplicates.
Yes.
Like there's like 3 for log a call. And I don't. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I say to myself, these apparently go in like different places, but it won't let you put them any place on the record, but in that section of the record.
That's my understanding also.
Okay. Huh. Well, I mean, at minimum, you guys are making me feel a lot better.
Robert, thank you so much for chiming in and saving the day on that one. Glad you've got some Lightning experience.
The way the young lady is learning is exactly how I learned. I'm like, that doesn't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to learn this, is by trial and error. So good job. Good job. Kudos to you. All right. Thanks for that question, Haley. All right. Next up, let's go to Rita, and then Marty, you'll be up again. Rita, can you hear us? You might need to take yourself off mute. We're not hearing you, Rita. Oh, okay. She says she can't. Rita, go ahead and post your question in chat while you're doing that. Marty, let's go to you and ask you your question.
Okay, so this is a list view question. I have 2. In Lightning, it defaults. So if I click, for example, on accounts or contacts, it defaults to the recently viewed list view for that object. Is there any way to change that?
No.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge, and that's been a same action as Classic.
Yes.
Simply because of resource availability. Again, because this isn't an on-premise system or an on-desktop system where it can just say, yeah, and oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to borrow from local resources, so just go run the thing anyway. The cloud wants you to be very deliberate about when you go engage those views. So the easiest thing it can do is cache what your recently viewed items were and show them there to then go deliberately look for list view.
Got it. So corollary question. So now this is a Lightning versus Classic. So in Classic, if I have a large list, I have 2 things that are very handy. One is at the bottom of the page, I can select how many accounts, for example, display on the page at a time, so I can change it up to 200. And at the top, I am presented with the alphabet. So if I know I'm looking for something that starts with M, for example, I can click M. In Lightning, I do not have either of those options. And if I have a large list, it could take forever to scroll to get to where you want to go. So I didn't see the forward-looking statement. I don't know if someone knows if that's changing or if my only recourse is to switch quickly to classic.
Oh my goodness, you are right. There, I never noticed that there's no alpha selector there. That's a bit of a problem.
Sounds like a good opportunity for an ideas, and then post the link and we'll all vote on it.
Okay.
So one thing so yes, definitely post an idea. I'll put the link in the chat here, Jackie, so that you can share it. But there is a Lightning Experience roadmap that right now is only updated through spring 18 and then future. But if you ever come across anything like that, never have any questions, it is a Salesforce Trailblazer community supported site. It is reasonably updated with here's when it's coming to Lightning. I keep that thing bookmarked all the time if I ever run across something.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, thank you.
That seems like kind of an easy one that I'm surprised is not a thing.
So, yes, so was I. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
Steve Moe posted in the chat for everybody that he thought there was something in the True to the Core that there might be on the roadmap, Safe Harbor. Steve, I hope I did that justice for you. There was some flexibility with the tab default list views. I will get the link to the True to the Core session from Dreamforce, and I'll post that. Because you can pause that video and take a look at the slides and see what they've delivered and what is coming. So that's a really helpful session. So I will do that so you guys will have it. Okay. Thanks for that, Steve. All right. Rita, did you have anything else? Or I'm sorry, Marty, did you have anything else? All right, we've got a question from Rita and Steve Moe. I hope you have your ears on because this one is for you, buddy. How to group or bucket by new time field in reports. Ready? Go. And
if it wasn't, so if Steve can't unmute, my first question is going to be because, and hi Rita, long time no talk. If time is a beta feature right now, and important thing to remember with anything time, date time, whatever, is it's relative to not only running user, but contributed user. It's variable. So that I would not be surprised if that's something that they have not wrapped their arms around. Because it is kind of a wiggly mess. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I just figured out how to unmute. Now I want to mute again. Yeah.
I'm going to do something here on my end, and let's see if this works. I'm going to try and unmute everybody all at once. All participants are unmuted. Okay, Steve Moe, can you let me know if you can hear us? And can you talk? Still nothing. I wonder why this is giving us a problem today.
Stu did post a link to the summer release notes on the time type that might have something. I will click into that and see if there's anything.
Hey guys, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Hey there. Hey Steve.
Hello,
okay,
sir.
sorry, just dial back in. So what did I miss?
You didn't miss anything.
Have you played around with grouping by the new time field in reports?
I have not done that in reports. However, I have done, prior to the time data type, a lot of stuff with writing formulas to do time-ish groupings in reports, like especially a lot of stuff with like, case life cycle reports or case escalation reports where the date opened has a date time component, but they need to see it by like hour of the day and stuff like that. So I've played around with things of that nature, but never really the new explicit time data type. So what was the nature of the question? Like, what was the goal? What was the finished report supposed to look like? Like, was it, grouped by hour or something like that? Or I'm trying to get like a picture in my mind of what this report would look like.
Rita, are you still on the line with us?
Looks like she's muted again. So in through the chat, it says how to group or bucket. Okay, perfect.
Okay, yes, okay. I wasn't actually doing this. I'm helping somebody else. And she was trying to, I'm not quite sure of the nature of the report. She just said that, let me see that. She was trying to group by time. And I guess she's used to grouping by hour or something, the old way, maybe.
Yeah.
And now she's trying to use the new time field, and she just can't, it doesn't allow it, or I don't know. It shows up as a strange format number instead of time.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm thinking the way around this might end up having to be some kind of a formula field on the that converts the time value into a more report friendly more report friendly format. I mean, like, I know that you can't bucket by a date value, by a date field. When you're in it with a native report bucket, you've got to create some other kind of data type like text or number or something like that, and then you can bucket by that numeric or text field. It's just one of those.
So far she has not been able to write a formula that works.
I was wondering if time is even has she posted this anywhere, either in one of the report forums or formula forums, or even just throwing it out there in the ANSYS community?
No, I'm going to mention this to her and have her put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, there's just like, if you throw something on the ANSYS community, you got I don't know if you've ever been out there, but like there's this guy named Sunil. He is if he takes a look at this and he cannot crack this nut is uncrackable. He is the master of date time logic. His ability to grasp a date time value or date value or time value, he's a magician. I mean, I'll certainly take a look at it, but I mean, yeah, if this belongs, I would go on ANSYS, because you get the best of the best out there.
Okay, Stuart just posted.
Especially while I'm on this call, because it really is like, you're calling me for the Mahertz, so you really have like the best of the best, like Deepak and Sunil and Mayank out there. I'm not dragging down the cumulative GPA of the ANSYS board.
Okay. Stuart, I would just add that Stuart posted something he's done similar. And Stuart, actually, if you want to take yourself off mute and address this, I did copy your formula into our slide, but thought you might want to speak to it. And Stuart, we can't hear you. I don't know what's going on with our technology today, but I did go ahead.
Just added it in. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I just went through this problem with the date time stamp. I haven't worked with time yet, and I'm hoping that time will allow you to do the same thing as the date timestamp. But just went through this issue with a new object that we have that we're loading up some of our data that requires a date time. And we want to look at it or sort it by hour so we can see what hour of the day people are watching our videos. And so I use this formula to do it. But you have to realize that if you're loading up external data into Salesforce, it's going to store it as GMT. So in your formula, you need to make sure that if it is GMT time, that you do the minus, for Central Time, right now it's -6 to view it correctly in the report.
Well, and Stu, what's interesting about the link that you shared to the summer release notes is it says time values are not localized or associated with a time zone. For example, if you enter 1500, 3 p.m., all users see the same value. So yeah, like that makes sense on the date time, but on the time, it looks like it's a static value. I'm in my dev org trying to build a time formula field, and per Steve Mo's very wise advice, as he has done in all of his presentations, you can go to the help and training on any of the functions on the right. Everybody please take that as a free nugget of knowledge. There's no H&T on the time value function. I don't know if that's associated with this new time field that is still a beta. It's not GA. I think one of the things I always consider is if it's not GA, don't necessarily rely on putting your eggs in that basket. Definitely test the you-know-what out of it to see if it's worth its salt, but also worth noting it might not be ready for prime time yet. I feel like I just deflated the room with that.
No, I think that we're absorbing what you said.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, date timestamp definitely is in GMT, and then it stores it in GMT and then shows it to you in your local time zone. So this field does not do that. I did not realize that.
Which is incredibly interesting because you would think they would borrow from the date time functionality to create the time. That's where I'm scratching my head is where's the disconnect on that? Because you also have a date that plays semi-nicely with date time. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I go by the rule of thumb that if it's not GA, it probably doesn't have everything wrapped around it that you would expect with your GA functions. And like I said, I clicked on help on this function on time value, and it just takes you to a generic listing of functions of I through Z, and time value is not in that list. So.
Okay. And somebody was asking, I think we take it for granted sometimes, and I need to remember this. We talk about answers and ideas, and maybe all of our new members on the call are not familiar with that. So if you go to the Trailblazer community, which you can find right now on success.salesforce.com, you can use your regular Salesforce credentials to log into this community and go to answers, and this is where you would post a question. This is what Steve was talking about. I do not know what this big old red line is on my screen, so I apologize. It's very distracting. It looks like somebody wrote on it with a marker. Anyway, so you can go to this answers tab. You can post your question. You can add a category to it, and then people all across the globe, this is a worldwide website here within the Salesforce community, can go to it and answer or ask additional questions. Hey, look who chimed in on this one, Steve Wallace, and got the best answer. And so this builds a repository of questions and answers and guidance that is searchable and the entire Salesforce community can access. So this is where we suggest everyone go to and post their questions because of it building a repository that we can then search at a later time and find that information. And then ideas is where you go to post the idea. For example, the one that Marty was asking about, I think it was Marty, for the, here, and I'll just go grab that really quick. So being able to default the list view. So we could go here right now, see what she posted, and vote it up. So here's the idea that she just posted. And we can add comments to it. Actually, this is one that somebody else posted that she found. And you can see that 8 days ago, people were adding comments and all of that. And all you do is simply just, once you're logged in, just go ahead and click on, why am I up here, the upvote. And there, I just gave it another 10 points. So that's as easy as that is. So when we're talking about the answers community or answers or ideas, this is where you would find it.
So hey, Steve, I just clicked on the knowledge article that you shared about how do I convert a date time filter any time zone. Maybe I'm missing it, but do we know what type of formula field this example has?
That, I believe, is to create a custom date time formula field. So you would borrow this logic and apply it to what Stuart posted. I believe was this, yeah, Stuart. So you basically would kind of merge the two together. This, apply the logic that they're using here to convert from UTC or GMT to your local time, and then using the whatever hours your offset is, plus or minus divided by 24, and then this has the added advantage of provided they don't monkey around with daylight savings time that much. This in theory would be a set it and forget it formula, that you don't have to go in every daylight savings time and redo your formula. Or I mean, like if they luckily when they do change daylight savings time, they announce those things well in advance, so you would have heads up to make hopefully a one-time edit to this formula.
Which my formula doesn't do. So on my formula, I have to edit it twice a year because I'm not accounting for daylight savings time. So I like this one better.
Yeah. So really, all you would be doing is, again, you'd almost be like taking the formula in the knowledge article and trimming it down to just fetch Stuart's formula.
And I think the preliminary question to that is, does the time formula field support doing that? Have they baked it enough to allow for that?
That, this is something, this would be just something I would have to really dive into. Mm-hmm. You may have to fudge it by using the time component, the time field, and using a date time value function to create a date time value that you could then use this formula in. So, there's a very little used function out there called date time value, which allows you to take text or numbers or reference other fields and build a full-blown year, month, day, hour, minute, second date time value using this function. You might be able to cobble something together where you either just hard code in a year, a month, a day value, and then you slap in the time field to build out the full thing, and then you apply this to it. But as I'm talking through it, I know that some of these date time functions are really, really, really prohibitive in terms of compiled size. Not all of them are, but some of these things, just, you can hear your org groan when you click the check syntax button, and it has to lift all these functions and start crunching the numbers. So that would be my primary fear would be the compile size, if you could pull it off. Let me pull up a link to the date time value function. Although the links in the online help are kind of wonky lately.
Steve, while you're researching that, should we move on to, it looks like we've got at least 3 other questions and we've got 19 minutes left on this call. You want us to go on to the next question while you look more into that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Alex, do you still have a question? Might need to unmute yourself. All right, while Alex is working to unmute on that end, Haley, it looks like you have another question. Haley, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry about that.
There you go, no problem.
This is actually kind of a follow-up to my previous one, and I'm sorry to bring back up the topic nobody likes. But can I go back to the Global Action Publisher? Yeah, is that supposed to be the same list of actions that is in the Global Action button on pretty much anywhere in your org? You know what, up next to your profile and you have your shortcuts and it goes to setup. I only have 2 actions in that global action, but my global action publisher has like 6 things in it.
Can you see those 6 things in Classic but not in Lightning?
Oh, that's a really good question.
That's kind of that would be the first thing that I would troubleshoot, because based on what everybody has said, it sounds like there might be a little bit of a difference between Classic versus Lightning.
Yeah, we actually, I mean, because we just got started in July, and I just said, I'm just going to do everything in Lightning. And I really had not really appreciated some of the limitations that was going to give me. But don't tell my users there's Classic. They don't need to know.
No.
So I actually have one preliminary question for you, Haley, knowing that you're in the nonprofit space. Are you on NPSP or are you doing out of the box?
No, we're on NPSP.
Are you on any Visualforce pages or are these all standard?
These should all be standard.
Okay.
I'm going to ask another really stupid question. How would I know I was on a Visualforce page instead of any of the other?
You would see visual.force in the URL.
Okay, then definitely not, yeah.
Okay, well then I'm going to mute and shut up. I have no way to contribute to this.
I think that was a contribution.
Oh, okay.
So, does this shortcut generating menu even exist in Classic? And if so, where would I find it? I'm looking at the same page in Classic, and of course, it's set up a little bit differently, obviously. But I have actually like a blank button that takes me to apps. Actually, no, I don't have any kind of like shortcut action generator.
Did you switch back to Classic, and are you in the admin setup?
Yeah, I switched back to Classic. Oh, you're saying if I went into the global publisher and the admin setup that maybe they wouldn't be there?
Yeah, that's where I would start to do my comparison. Is can I see it in the admin setup? What do I see in Classic versus Lightning? And you might want to open different browsers to kind of keep.
I see what you're getting at. Okay, yeah. Thank you for that.
Sure, absolutely.
Those are awesome breadcrumbs.
Good. Yeah, that's what I would do first of all. Is just what can I see where and where the difference is, and then go from there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Robert. I also wanted to mention that if you're going to add those quick actions to your mobile navigation, I believe you have to add them to the navigation individually, do you not? And then I also would check my publisher layouts, as the young lady said, because I think that there's a selection for mobile and lightning actions under there for your publisher layouts, and I'd make sure that they were there.
Thank you.
Good point. Okay, Alex, did you get
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, if we can get Alex to go for it. If not, I just played around with the time value function. That was kind of interesting.
I'm here, but if you want to finish saying what you were gonna, go for it.
Oh, okay, no worries, thank you. So I just really quickly, time formula field, I did time value of a created date, and it came up 14:35:19.0000Z. So it actually renders and Steve, you may have said this and I wasn't completely following, but that actually renders the GMT-ish or UTC-ish feel of a time.
Did not see one.
It doesn't just show a straight up time like you would expect. So the results look a little funky.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I just posted what it looks like in the chat.
Oh. Okay. So you could, in theory, use that to build a date time value and use the localization formula to convert it, I think.
Essentially. This record was created. So actually, yeah, so what's really interesting is this particular record that I'm looking at was actually created at 8:35 in the morning, which I'm in Central, which is 6 hours behind GMT. So this is saying 2:35 GMT or UTC. So yeah, localization is probably a thing to help get you there.
All right, you guys want to spend a little more time playing around with that? We'll go to Alex's question and we'll come back.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Alex,
Okay,
you
great.
got the floor. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, number one, thank you so much. This is my first office hours session, and really appreciate all your help so far. So anyway, our users, we use reports across our organization. We have, for security purposes, we've decided to only kind of delegate roughly 10 out of the 100 users to be able to build reports, export reports, all of that, customize, etc. Is there a way to allow someone to open a report and change the dates without giving them access to create reports? Because right now, the permission that I'm looking at is called, I think it's create reports and customize. And what we're looking for is solely for someone, an admin, to be able to go in there and change the dates, nothing else, not the fields that are available, not create their own reports, but simply change it and rerun it. So I just wanted to see if there's any way to do something like that.
That's a good question. I know I recently saw when I was playing around with Lightning reports. Are you in Classic or Lightning, first of all?
We're in Classic.
In Classic. So.
I mean, I want to say can't anybody consume reports, but if you can create, you can edit as well, and vice versa. Like, isn't that kind of a package deal?
Well, in the report, in the reports folder, you can designate if it's a view only or a manage. But I don't think that you can get so granular as to say only change this one criteria. It's either
well, and even that, I think unless they have the create and customize permission, that will overwrite it. So if you don't have create and customize, and then you share a report with someone and you give them edit access, they can't edit the report because they don't have that permission.
Right. You can say, yeah, if you have read only, you can save into that folder and then it's locked down from there. You can always save as and it goes into a personal folder, but you want, so I would think though, even if it's in a public folder that's read only for a user, they should still be able to toggle those date, like you're talking about the filters at the top of the report, right?
Yeah, they can't toggle them.
They can't toggle them at all?
No, it's not an option.
Really? That surprises me. I would think you'd be able to at least toggle them and not commit the change unless you save as a new report. But it also does make sense, though, that if you can't modify the report, you can't modify the report, and that's all inclusive.
Yeah.
So I did notice, just as a tidbit, I did notice in Lightning this week that you can lock down the criteria. So as you're adding logic, not in those top filter criteria, but as you're adding individual logic, there is a little indicator that says locked, which to me said, cool, I can put criteria in there and nobody can change that. So if when you move to Lightning, I would try, instead of using the standard date functions, maybe I would throw that into the logic and lock down everything else, but not lock down the time piece. And that's not ideal, but if that's the only place that you can lock it or unlock it, then at least that, it might be a workaround.
The problem then, though, is even in that scenario, we probably have to grant them create and customize permissions. Seeing what I'm saying?
Can I ask again? You want certain users to be able to change the report filter parameters but not change the report.
So we have. You know, from a security perspective, we've only given access to create reports for about 10 people. So those individuals can create reports, they can export them, they can customize them, etc. Everyone else in the organization can view reports and run reports, but they can't customize them. So the idea would be, you know, if we have some admins on our team who every, you know, week have to run a report for, you know, their manager or someone else, is there a way to just allow them, without giving them the create and customize permission, because then they could go and build their own reports, is there a way to just say, hey, they can, you know, change the date range and then run it?
So here's a weird way that I tried to do it, and it worked, but it ultimately didn't solve the problem, and that was through dashboards. So while I didn't want them to change the reports, I was okay with putting a filter on the dashboard for the different times. So I'd have, you know, look at this month or last month. And I believe that what happened when they opened up the report, the components of the dashboard, is that it actually opened up with that filter still in place.
Interesting. And could you designate the time frame for that dashboard component? Like if I'm an admin and I want to see, you know, next week I want to run a report, can I say I want to run the report today?
Oh.
like, are you saying that I'd have to create dashboards for, next week and then the following week and then the week after?
No, I'm saying you would create one dashboard and then apply the different reports as components in there. But in the dashboard itself, you can create a filter for the dashboard. So if date range is one of them, I could say this month would be one of the dashboard filters, and also last month could be another filter. So if I wanted to see all the data then from this month, then I would just choose that filter on the dashboard.
Gotcha.
My understanding is that when I tested this, I believe that when I clicked on the component, it would open up the report with that filter still in place.
Yep.
So I could from there print out or export that report, then without having to change the report filter in the report. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So you're essentially applying a filter. You're adding a filter to the full dashboard. Then let's just say one of our admins could log in, change the date range on that filter, which would update essentially all those reports. And then when you click on a report, it opens the report with a new date.
Yeah.
Okay, and you got that to work.
It's a really weird way around it, but I did have it work.
But do you yourself have the create and customize permission right now?
Yeah, whoever's updating the dashboard has to have that permission.
Oh, okay. But okay, all right, understood. Well, I guess I think that's it for me. Yeah, go ahead.
That possible solution is going to require another round of testing just to make sure that I didn't mistake of what I was suggesting there.
But so if you're saying that the person who makes that edit needs to have the create and customize report, then the admin would need to have that create and customize report.
Yeah.
So then that sounds like it wouldn't work then.
So
So the idea would be that we don't give that permission to the admin because we don't want them to be able to. We don't want 90% of our users to be able to create their own report.
I have never done this, but this would be the next thing that I would look at based on what your criteria is. Perhaps that you can create a report, a Visualforce page that removes the new report button so that nobody has access to that, or only those people who need it could have that. Yep. So you would still give them, and this is just in theory, you'd still give everybody the permission who needed it, but they wouldn't have the button in order to do it. But perhaps they would then be able to still modify the date ranges that you were looking at based on the folders that you give them access to.
Okay, I like that idea. Yeah, go ahead.
Or there's one other possible way, and this is just thinking. I haven't tested this or anything, but via URL hacks, which are not available, in the future, but in Classic, if you could create a URL that put in those parameters that are going to be part of that report.
Okay.
And it would take a while for you to build that out, but if you can pass those in to the report link via the URL, would that then create the report that you're looking for?
Very, very interesting idea. I can try that out too.
And so if this was something that you wanted to say, show me all of the accounts that were created on a given time frame. I don't know. I need to think that through before I say it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind.
Me too.
Yeah.
No, I like that idea about the hat. And I think someone had posted something about that. Let's see how it. Problem is, it looks like when I put in dates, it didn't change the URL.
So you would have to create a button somewhere that says run this report and use these values from something. I don't know, if you created a Visual Force page that says enter, user enter in the date range that you want, click this button. This button would then run the report and grab the values off that Visual Force page.
Okay.
And then generate the report.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if
when
you
you're
had more
talking,
what?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you had more than one report, you could do like a library list of them and allow the date, start and end date for each one of those on a Visual Force page. I've never done it, but that's what I would look at.
And is the idea that I'd be creating a Visual Force page or I'd be using a Visual Force component?
If you're in Classic, you would be doing a Visual Force page. If you're in Lightning, you would look at, could I use a component? I don't know the answer to that, but that's what I would research.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, we are at 3:01, so we've come to the end of our scheduled time. Hopefully we've covered everybody's questions. If not, please feel free to post those as questions in answers, and then grab the URL and drop it into our community page, and then we'll see what other guidance we can give you as well. Thank you everyone for your time. MVPs who joined us and frequent contributors, thank you so much for joining us and helping us work through some of these challenges and questions today. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Watch your email for the next invitation, watch Twitter, and watch community for the registration URL. Thanks everyone for your time. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.